Ah, yourself? Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد النبي الكريم وعلى آله وأصحابه الطيبين الطاهرين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين وبعد. أحبتي في الله، اللهم علمنا ما جهلنا وذكرنا ما نسينا وفقهنا في ديننا واجعلنا من عبادك الصالحين. My dear brothers and sisters, this is your time for your questions and to understand about your deen. And fiqh, it's really important. As the Prophet said, "Man yuridillahu bihi khayran yufaqqihhu fi din." If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala want to bestow upon you something good, then He will give you the best understanding for your deen, for your religion, because your religion will purify your life and will grant the best for you in the hereafter. فَمَنْ أُعْطِيَ الْفِقْهَ فَقَدْ أُعْطِيَ الْخَيْرَ وَمَنْ حُرِمَ الْفِقْهَ فَقَدْ حُرِمَ الْخَيْرَ. So it's very important to understand that and to spend time learning about your deen. It's an act of worship. And it's an important act of worship. And here, my dear brothers and sisters, we have to understand what fiqh means. What fiqh means, generally speaking. Al-fiqh هو العلم. It's not generally speaking that fiqh is knowledge. Okay? But what's the definition of al-fiqh? According to Imam Abu Hanifa, he had a broad definition where he said, مَعْرِفَةُ النَّفْسِ مَا لَهَا وَمَا عَلَيْهَا. That when you know all matters related to yourself, that's what you have to do for yourself, and you have to do others for other duties. So you know all your duties and your responsibilities. معرفة النفس ما لها وما عليها. What it's must for you to do toward yourself and toward others. And with this definition, that everything's be included, even aqidah. And that's why one of the books that they said that written by Imam Abu Hanifa called Al-Fiqh Al-Akbar. Why I'm saying written by Imam Abu Hanifa yunsabu lahu, because there are some people doubting about that his book. Anyway, they called Al-Fiqh Al-Akbar. So there is a major fiqh, which is that aqidah, and there's a minor one that's about ibadat and muamalat. The other scholars limited the fiqh for the practice. When they say fiqh, they mean that to know the knowledge for the ibadat and muamalat, and aqidah would be a separate subject. Okay? So fiqh is really important, and we need to spend time for that, to learn ahkam. لابد على المؤمن أن يعلم حكم الله في أي أمر قبل الإقدام عليه. You should know the ruling, and you should know the hukum before doing the action. What happens nowadays, people they will do the action and then they will come and say, "Oh, Sheikh, give me fatwa." You should know before you doing and before you engage in that matter. So this is what's supposed to be. To always ask about your deen. Today, shortly, in a few minutes, I will define Siyam. As we said, we agreed that in the first time we'll talk about Siyam in short, and then we'll open the floor for your questions. So what's the definition of Sawm? What's the definition of a Sawm? الصوم هو الإمساك. Generally speaking, in Sawm, that means to hold yourself from doing a certain action. As Zakaria said that, yes, and even as Maryam. So what their Sawm? Their Sawm, that not to talk to others. فلن أكلم اليوم إنسيا إني نذرت للرحمن صوما فلن أكلم اليوم إنسيا. So they hold themselves of talking to others. So that generally speaking, when you say صوم. قتل صوما. There is one person that said he died and his punishment was صوم. What do you mean صوم? So they hold not giving him drink and food until he died. You see? So that's the meaning of this. Sawman, that's holding something for yourself or for others. Yes. No, if that for yourself, it's abstain. But if somebody else, you hold that from that person. Al-kaffu anhu. Okay? So now that's generally speaking from the language, from the Arabic language. But now what's the definition in fiqh? والإمساك عن شهوتي البطن والفرج من طلوع الفجر الصادق إلى غروب الشمس بنية. So in this case, that to abstain from drinking and eating and all sexual activities from the time of Fajr until the sunset with a clear intention. Okay? So there are conditions in order we fulfill the meaning of siyam, of fasting. So the first condition, as clear in the definition, that intention. An intention has to be clear. I remember when you used to use announce too late, the beginning of the month, some people, they could not stand up late, so they will go to bed. And they said, if they announce tomorrow it's Ramadan, I'm going to fast. And if it was not Ramadan, I'm going to break my fast. Now, what do you think? If the next day was announced that Ramadan, is that count for them? No. Because one of the condition of the intention, عدم التردد. You should have no doubt. It has to be solid intention. You cannot say if statement. If that would be, no, it doesn't work. Now, from now, which we are at the end of the month of Rajab, I have the intention to fast Ramadan. Is that count? Does that count? No, it does not count. It does not count. If I have now the intention to pray Fajr, does that count? No, it does not count. It has to, the time is arrived. There's not Ramadan yet. What's the intention? This is not intention. That's wishes. That's, not the intention in the Islamic terminology. Yes, whatever, like you can count it, you might be rewarded, but not that the things that we talk about it as a condition. النية هي القصد للشيء مقرونا بالفعل. To aim to do the action and connect it with the action. You cannot be separated from the action and say this is valid intention. No. And actually has to be connected with the beginning of the action. With the beginning of the first obligatory part in that action. I'll give you example. Somebody in a hot weather washed his face. And then he said, you know what? Let me continue having wudu. Does that count? Is that count? No. Why is that? Because when he washed his face, has no intention to make wudu. So it has to be at the beginning, before washing his face. But it's not after. So it has to be not before the matter arrive and not after started. Has to be at the beginning. However, in Ramadan, it's permissible, the scholars said, that you can have the intention after Maghrib if it was confirmed that it's Ramadan. You don't have to wait until Fajr. like comparing with other action of worship, it has to be at the beginning. So with the beginning of Siyam is Fajr. But in this case, for Ramadan, for make it easy for people, that was permissible to have the intention after the Maghrib. It was confirmed that is Ramadan. My other question to you: do you have to repeat the intention for every single night? And what's the implication of this? You know what? If we say we have to, let's say imagine somebody, he slept before Maghrib and he woke up after Fajr. This is the time when he should make the intention. So he missed that time to make the intention. Then there is no fasting for him. Yes? Because the time he should after Maghrib before Fajr, that will make the intention. You get the point? If we said that he has to make it for every night. No, you don't have. It's highly recommended. You don't have to make it for every night. The intention at the beginning of the month, it's enough. The intention of the beginning of the month, it's enough. كل ما يلزم تتابعه يكتفى فيه بنية واحدة. What is must to do it in a consecutive way without, breaking. It's enough to have one intention for the entire month. So you don't have, unless you break it because of traveling and you break the fast, or a lady in her menses, and then after became ready for fasting, then had to renew the intention for the remaining days. So it's enough one intention for the entire month because it's continuous. And now Salah, for example, like we prayed Isha, it's a 4 rak'ah. Do you have to make intention in every single rak'ah? No. At the first on the beginning of the action, you made the intention. And whole Ramadan like one unit. So it's enough one intention at the beginning. However, it's always good to renew your intention that every single night. At the end of the month, there is a Eid. But sometimes you don't know it's a Eid or not. Alhamdulillah, in the city of London, they solved this. So in advance, you would know when the Eid will be. So you don't have to wait until the mid of night to know. But somebody will say, you know what? Let me sleep. And if tomorrow is Ramadan, I will continue fasting. And if it's not, I'm going to break and have my Eid. So the next day was Ramadan. Is that fine? Is that acceptable? Tell me. It's a tricky question a little bit. Yes? But the intention he made, it's doubtful. Okay, so the intention of the beginning is still valid. Does not affected by that doubt at the end. So they call it a hukm al-istishab. Carrying the same situation before, that night. What makes different before Ramadan, in the first night of Ramadan, that makes different because it's preceded by the day of fitr, not by the day of fasting. Yes, so there's no intention at all, so that's what makes different in this case. So I hope that will be clear. I don't want to take more of your time, but we're going to come back to talking about the definition. We have not finished the definition yet. Okay? We're only addressing a little bit about the intention. And the intention, not something that you have to say it out loud. So you know what? Oh, I have to make fasting like that lady. She said, I'm going to pray Maghrib according to the local time of London, Ontario. And all, no, it's not this. You don't say the intention out loud. والقصد لشيء بنية أتت بنية محلها القلب ثبت. The intention that's in a heart, you didn't have to say it, except in two positions. In Hajj and Umrah, said لبيك اللهم حجة, لبيك اللهم عمرة. That's one. The second, in the case of a constant doubt, of a consistent or constant doubt, of the doubt that's visiting you more often. If that helps you to remove the doubt, that's fine. So normally you do not say it. They call it حكم المستنكح. حكم المستنكح. That person has doubt overwhelming him. It's always like, repeating 5 wudu, 10 salah, like, have that doubt. So we tell that person, if that help you to remove the doubt, to say it out loud, that's fine. Okay. Sometimes it might help. There's one person came to the Sheikh. Sheikh said, Sheikh, I have that feeling that I divorced my wife. And I don't. And he said, I want to minister you, and I still have that problem with me. So the Sheikh realized there's something wrong here. He said to him, you said that you have not divorced your wife, you just doubt? He said, yes. He said, no, you did. You have divorced it. He said, no, Sheikh, I didn't. But I still have the doubt. He said, no, you did. He said, I didn't. He said, you did. He said, Wallahi, I didn't. He said, okay. Now if Shaitan comes to you again, swear to him as you swear to me. So he wants to remove the doubt from his. So if it's help you to say the intention out loud, it's fine. But that's not the norm. Normal situation, do not say it, out loud. And inshallah, we'll continue more bidnillah subhanahu wa ta'ala next time to prepare ourselves for the meanings that related to the month of fasting in order to have our Ramadan not like previous Ramadan. This is our intention, inshallah. So the Ramadan could be Ramadan Siyam al-Awam or Siyam al-Khawas or Khawas al-Khawas. It might be your fasting just as any others. To drop from off your shoulder the obligation. Isqat al-Fard. We don't want that. We don't want only just even get the reward of that. No, we're going to go above. Because we want our situation and our status after Ramadan better than our status in Ramadan. So that's what we're going to work in, inshallah, bi subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are helping each other in the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Say Ameen. Okay, please, start, if you have any question. Yes? If you come closer, we'll make it easier for him. Yes. Go ahead.
I just wanted to ask, if the intention, saying out the intention loudly only when there is a certain kind of noise in the background, so that will also help to clear out the intention, like in your mind, saying the number of rakats and saying if it's for fard or if it's for sunnah. So that will kind of help to,
So in a normal situation, that's not recommended. In some cases, like we mentioned, if that will help, that will be fine. So to say the intention, it's an action of the heart. It's not action of the body or action of the tongue. So this is the intention. If somebody is walking toward wudu area, you stop that person. Where are you going? To that place. Why? I'll make a wudu. So the action itself is a sign for what he's doing. And in his heart, knowing that he's doing this ibadah for what purpose, is that sunnah, is fard. So all of that is within the heart. So there's no need to say it out loud. Okay. Does that answer your question, brother? Okay. Yes. Bismillah. It's one of the good things you mentioned the name, so we know each other. That other benefit of the halaqah, inshallah. What's your name, brother? Inayatullah. And mention your name?
Harun.
Harun, yes, go ahead.
What will break your fast during Ramadan? What counts as breaking your fast?
Yeah, that's a good question, and we're going to address that in details. So if you lack of any of the condition of siyam, then that will break the fast. If there's no valid intention, if you have not abstained from drinking and eating during the day, of Ramadan, then is that, will count as an action that invalidates your fasting. If you have any sexual relation that during the days of Ramadan that's invalid, yours. If you reject the intention, be careful. رفضها. If you reject the intention, even without you drinking and eating, that's making the fasting invalid. So there are many other things related even to some sisters, and some rules. We're gonna talk about that in details. Bidnillah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Just be patient, bidnillah.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Mohamad. My question is, during the time of Jummah prayer, someone entered the mosque. By this time, Imam has started his sermon, khutbah. So in this situation, this person should pray for 2 rakats, or just he will sit and listen to Imam khutbah?
Thank you for your question. Your name, brother, again?
Muhammad.
Muhammad. Yes, brother Muhammad. And that's a question. It's very important to explain a little bit about it, because more often people are asking about it. So it seems that maybe we're not satisfied or whatever with that answer. First of all, the both options are fine. You could sit, and listen to the khutbah, and you could pray the 2 rak'ah. And why I'm saying that, because those valid opinion from authentic school of thoughts, the scholars that they debate about this, and each one of them has his point behind, in this. So what I should do, like, should I pray 2 rak'ah or I should just sit? You have the option. Now, if you are in an area that's practicing one unique fiqh, let's say, like you go in Pakistan where they are following the Imam Hanifa madhab, it's better not to show the differences for no reason. If because that's a matter of respect, for those. Imam Shafi'i, when he prayed in the mosque of Imam Abu Hanifa, he at that time didn't offer al-qunut in his prayer. And they told him, why is that? He said, how come I will show the differences and I'm in his mosque? Imam Hanifa was not even there. He died before that, long time ago. But he is there, when he prayed in the mosque, people practicing the fiqh of Imam Hanifa, he doesn't want to disturb them. However, in this locality, we didn't have a single unique fiqh. It's fine, because nobody will say, you are showing dispute or problems over this. But as an individual person, you have the option. You can pray 2 rak'ah and you cannot. And why is that? Imam Shafi, for example, he said, you pray 2 rak'ah because there is a general hadith that إِذَا دَخَلَ أَحَدُكُمْ مَسْجِدْ فَلَا يَجْلِسْ حَتَّى يَأْتِيَ بِرَكْعَتَيْنِ. If you enter the mosque, then you pray 2 rak'ah before you sit. إِذَا دَخَلَ أَحَدُكُمْ مَسْجِدْ, do not sit. Do not sit until you offer 2 rak'ah. So this is any time that you can be. And another hadith that even Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal used as evidence, that's one time a person entered the mosque, then the Prophet ﷺ asked him to stand up and to pray 2 rak'ah. And the Prophet ﷺ was given his speech, and he asked him to do that. Okay. Imam Malik, for example, Imam Abu Hanifa, they said, no, you don't have to. As listening to khutbah, it's must. And praying the 2 rak'ah, that is sunnah. And it's important for you to fulfill your duties, what is must, before what is sunnah. And they said that about the hadith, when the Prophet ﷺ asked the man to stand up, they said that's the normal action for people that they sit. And that's why he sat. But the Prophet ﷺ asked him to stand up, not just to pray 2 rak'ah, but people indirectly will see his situation, because it was mentioned in the hadith that he is person in need, so they might, recognize him as he was standing out. Okay, that's another explanation. Not the point that we agree or disagree, but that those great scholars, they look at that from different angles, from adilla naqliya wa aqliya. However, as I said, both practice are fine as long as you're respecting the differences Do not just insist, you have to stand up. Some imams, they say somebody sit down, brother, stand up. And they embarrass him in front of others. Or the opposite, he was standing praying. What you are doing? No. You have to respect people, what they have to choose for themselves, as long as they're not following the desires, as long as they are believing that what they are following the sunnah and practicing the right practice. You get the point? So both is fine, brother. Yes. Alaikum assalam. Yes, brother Ismail.
A follow-up to the question, if one enters the masjid while the mu'adhin is making the adhan, khatib sitting down and waiting, what is mustahab? Is it good to pray the sunnah right away while the adhan is taking place, or wait for the adhan to be completed?
Yes. The questions will be endless, like go in all different situations, But here, always if you can combine with all opinions, that would be great. And if you can satisfy, all situations, that would be good. So repeating after the muaddin, that is recommended, from that sense. Now, if you are, among those, they believe that you can pray regardless there's a khutbah or not, then in this case, it's better for you to wait and listen to the adhan and repeat after, and then you pray, because it doesn't matter for you. But if you are actually insist that you should not pray while the imam at the minbar and starting the khutbah, then maybe it's good for you to use that time to pray the 2 rak'ah before imam started the khutbah. Because what's matter not imam is sitting, what's matter when he started his speech.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum.
So, do we need the intention for fasting as a sunnah, like outside of Ramadan, not in Ramadan? Do we need the same intention?
Okay, that's a good question. So one of the points I have not mentioned about the intention, that has, actually I mentioned, but I didn't give the details about it. It has to be before starting the action. So there's a hadith, لا صيام لمن لم يبيت النية. There's no fasting where that fasting not count if you have not had your intention from the night. And there's an exception in this. The exception of that, siyamu tatawwa, the voluntarily fasting. That was exempted from that rule. So you can, during the day, even if you have not made the intention at night, where somebody told you this is a day of virtue, something good, or for other reason, said, you know what, let me fast. But I have not made the intention. Okay, that's fine. You don't have to worry. Continue fasting and no issue. Yes, no issue. So our Prophet Muhammad ﷺ once asked our mother Aisha, is there anything that to eat? They said nothing. Then he said, Idan nasum. Then we are going to fast. So that's the evidence of those scholars that said that you can have the voluntary fasting, have the intention in the voluntary fasting during the day. It does not have to be from the night. That's an exception. But you have to have the intention during the day. One time, around 2 or 3 at night, I was going for azah, for condolence of one of my students, and he gave me a cup of tea. And I hold it. And then I hold it here without drinking. He said, what's wrong? Nothing wrong, but I remember that this cup, this tea, is going to be the first thing that will enter my stomach in the whole day. Before Fajr until 3 at night, I have not drinking or eating. I was busy, so busy at that day, I forgot, wallahi, to eat and drink. But that's useless, doesn't count as siyam, because I have not made the intention. See, I abstain and stayed away from drinking and eating, but it does not count. The intention is matter. Okay. Okay, from the Facebook, yes, go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. We have a question from a sister. Her name is Rabia Nave. Her question is, what is the reason that Allah made the month of Ramadan? What was the purpose?
What's the reason that Allah made the month of Ramadan?
And what was the purpose?
Yes, what was the purpose? Okay, if you go to the first 10 minutes on the previous halaqah of last week, you will find the answer. You remember the answer? We are fasting to fast. So F stand for faith, A for attitude, S for self-control, and T for tranquility. So you are going to gain taqwa. And it was mentioned the main purpose in the ayah. يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. Perhaps you attain taqwa. And when Allah will say perhaps, that means for sure. It's not like us. So لعلكم تتقون, that's for sure. But it has to be your fasting according to the sunnah. So you are following the correct ways of fasting, inshallah, you are going to gain taqwa out of this. So that's the main reason of that. So either sisters, you have the mic if you have any questions. And if those are watching us, you can type in the comment section in the Facebook. And also you can send your email in advance if you want the answer to be shared with others.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam.
Is it mandatory to have suhoor before fasting in Ramadan? Because sometimes I'll fall asleep because I have school and I'm tired.
Okay. Is it mandatory? Simple answer, no. It's not must. However, the Prophet ﷺ mentioned that his ummah will be in a good status, بخير, you know, ما أخروا السحور وعجلوا الفطور. That as long as they delay the suhoor and they haste to break their fast. So this is, you know, from the sunnah. And there's a barakah for sahur as mentioned in the hadith. There's a blessing. It's not only give you just a strength, you know, to do the ibadah during the day and not suffer because of fasting, but for many other reasons, okay? And here we'll talk about something people ask about it. Do we have to continue eating until the adhan? Or even I've heard the adhan, some of them they ask, the adhan is there, and I'm still continue eating, you know. Subhanallah. If the adhan is there and there's something in your mouth, that's fine, you finish it, but do not add more. You know, I'm not telling you just to spit it or to remove it from your mouth, but do not eat more, okay? Subhanallah. The Prophet said to the Sahaba, as there is two adhan, if you heard the first adhan, continue. You know, what's the adhan of Abdullah ibn Maktoum. And if you heard the second adhan, which of Bilal, then you should hold yourself. You break, you know, the car, you know, the engine. Do not continue and eat. Now, is it better to stop before eating with the imsak time? You see, in some of the Ramadan calendar, they add like imsak time. Some people told me this is a bid'ah. I said, why you are claiming something like this? How you know? Maybe it's sunnah, not bid'ah. Because it's mentioned in the Bukhari that the Prophet ﷺ used to stop drinking and eating with the time that allow him to eat, to read and to recite 50 verses. Which mean like, you know, around 10 minutes or so. It's better. It's better to stop. Prepare yourself, use siwak or whatever cleaner for your mouth to prepare yourself for that ibadah. But it's fine and permissible to continue eating till the adhan with no issue. Yes.
Assalamu alaikum, sisters. As the Sheikh said, there is a mic in the counter. Please, if you have a question, step forward.
Oh, some of the sisters want to ask? Okay, there's a mic there, please. You can use on the counter here. Yes, one of the brothers is going to ask until she will get the mic. Yes, brother.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wassalam.
If a sister misses some days of fasting in the month of Ramadan, and she's unable to make up those days until the next Ramadan, Is there any issues with this?
Okay. Jazakallah khairan, brother. It's a good question and a needed question, especially these days. Our mother Aisha used to make up the days of Ramadan sometimes in Sha'ban. So the entire year is a time to make qada, to make the compensation for the days that you missed. However, it's always better to make up right after. But is it permissible to delay for no reason? Till the Sha'ban, that's fine. Now, if you delay till the next Ramadan, and you have not make up some of the days that you missed in Ramadan, that's not the right to practice. That's not the right to practice. I don't want to go like, harsh in this, but it's not the right to practice. However, these days is still something you have to fulfill. Okay? So now there are two things. If somebody has an excuse, there's a reason that why the person never make up. Like for example, a lady, she has her pregnancy, and then breastfeeding, and then another pregnancy came up, maybe couple years, there are some days never, fast. So all of these days are count and no sin on you. You don't have to worry. When you are capable, you are going to fast, being like subhanahu wa ta'ala. There are other opinions that, in this case, she will make a fidya. That's another opinion. And I don't consider that. So the days that you missed still count, regardless. That's one Ramadan pass or multiple Ramadans pass. You still need, to make up for those days that you have not, have not fulfilled. Now, if somebody delay for no reason, it's recommended that they make a fidya in the top of making up those days. I hope that will be clear. Ameen, Ismail. Is the sister ready? Is the sister ready? Go ahead with your question. Yes, sister. Oh, she couldn't find the mic, maybe? One of the youngest, he can go and give it to her. Yeah, it's there. Okay, go ahead with your question.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum
This
salam.
is the following the questions. Like, if the sisters misses some days in Ramadan, but they want to also fast the 6 days of Shawwal, so whether they have to complete first those missing days or they can fast those.
Okay, in this, it's fine. As I said to you, that the entire year, it's a time to make up the days of Ramadan, as our mother Aisha is doing, sometimes, not all the time. That means there are some days of virtue, like the day of Arafah, the day of Ashura, like the 6 days of Shawwal. You still can perform that one. You still can perform that one. So there's no obligation that you have to do the farad before the sunnah in this case. لأن السنة كلها وعاء لقضاء رمضان. So it's fine. There's no issue with that. So you don't have to do the sunnah first. Now somebody will say, can I combine, in this case, combine the intention? There are some scholars that said it's fine. Can I combine intention with the 6 days of Ramadan, with the 6 days of Shawwal, with the days that I missed in Ramadan? Some scholars they said it's fine. But to be honest, it's better not. According to what I studied, and even many of my shuyukh, this is not. And actually, one of my shuyukh, he wrote even a booklet about this. Sheikh Fatah, rahmatullah alayhi, Dr. Fatah Ziglam, he wrote a book about this, and he brought many evidence that should not be combined in this case. As even in the hadith, من صام رمضان ثم أتبعه ستا من شوال. The one he fasted Ramadan and then he followed with 6 days of Shawwal. as if he fasts the entire year. But the hadith, whoever fasts Ramadan, the one has some days missed in Ramadan, he didn't fast Ramadan. Okay, so you can combine. Yes, you can, according to some scholars. However, it's better not to do so. And if somebody wanna fast the 6 days of Shawwal, and then later on making qada for what the days missed in Ramadan, that's fine as well. However, combining Ashura, combining the day, like all days of Dhul Hijjah, combining Arafah day with the qada of Ramadan, that's completely fine and no issue with all scholars that you can do so. So you say, I'm going to fast the day of Arafah, and at the same time, and that's one of the days I missed in Ramadan. It's fine. No issue with this. The days of Shawwal is different because there's a specific hadith about it. You can do Shawwal without finishing and making up what you missed in Ramadan. You can do that. Somebody would say, how about that person died? That's why we said, he should haste to make up, but you didn't have to worry because Allah will going to resurrect you according to your intention. يُبْعَثُ النَّاسُ عَلَى نِيَّاتِهِمْ. So your intention not to neglect this obligation, but only you're postponing it in a time that's allowed to it. So it's fine. Is that already now the sister or she's with a question? No? No question? Okay. Is there any question on the Facebook?
To a person outside of Islam?
Can you get married in a person outside Islam? Okay. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, who's asking, brother or sister? A sister. Okay. So that's a difference. So we answered already this one. We answered this one in the last week. So look at the last 10 minutes of last week's session, and you can type for her that, the last week, session, we address that point, okay? But you can go to the ayat in the Quran that's very clear. Just for clarification, because might some people argue with that, because we have some people, like subhanallah, they claim that they are people of knowledge, and they causing trouble. Like there's one Sudani scholar, you know him. He said that permissible, and he broke the agreement of the scholars in this matter. I don't want to mention his name. He died just a few years ago. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلَا تَنْكِحُوا الْمُشْرِكَاتِ حَتَّى يُؤْمِنْ وَلَا أَمَةٌ مُؤْمِنَةٌ خَيْرٌ مِّن مُشْرِكَةٍ وَلَوْ أَعْجَبَتْكُمْ وَلَا تُنْكِحُوا الْمُشْرِكِينَ حَتَّى يُؤْمِنُوا وَلَا عَبْدٌ مُؤْمِنٌ خَيْرٌ مِّن مُشْرِكٍ وَلَوْ أَعْجَبَكُمْ أُولَٰئِكَ يَدْعُونَ إِلَى النَّارِ وَاللَّهُ يَدْعُو إِلَى الْجَنَّةِ وَالْمَغْفِرَةِ بِإِذْنِهِ وَيُبَيِّنُ آيَاتِهِ لِلنَّاسِ لَعَلَّهُمْ يَتَذَكَّرُونَ. This verse number 231, I guess, in Surah Al-Baqarah, and the simple meaning for this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the exalted, said, and do not marry the mushrikeen, the female that is mushrik, until they believe. And believing slave women is better than a mushrik, that person out of Islam, the polytheist, even though she might please you. And do not marry mushrik man, the person not believing in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or associated somebody with Allah, to your women. Do not marry that person to your women until they believe. And a believing slave is better than a mushrik, even though he might please you. Those invite you to the fire, but Allah invites to paradise and forgiveness. Okay? And I hope that will be, clear, because the ayah by itself is clear. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned that general rules that it should be having same faith, both couple, man and wife. And then later, there is another verse in Surah Al-Ma'idah, verse number 5, excluded one situation where the Muslim man can marry from the people of the book, Jewish or Christian. That is exception from this verse. So this is a general verse, and the other one is an exception from it. Am I clear? هذه عامة وذلك حكم خاص. So the rule, that's a general rule, it's remain as it is. But that's just an exception, or just a certain case from this general rule which is permissible. And why is that it's permissible and otherwise not? We mentioned that in the last week, so go and watch the last 10 minutes of last week's lecture. Yes?
We have a question here from a sister. How much is the fidya that women have to pay if they delay qada for multiple years because they forgot?
Because?
They forgot.
Yeah, so how to be clear again? The days still count. Whatever you missed, then you have to make up wherever you can. Especially use the short days of winter. That will be easier for you. But those days still count. For those are capable to fast. For those are not capable to fast, the fidya that they have to pay for every day that they missed. To be honest, I don't know exactly the amount here in London. We have to say as an Imam Council. We have the London Imam Council, the London Council of Imams, LCI. And alhamdulillah, that was formed and we're part of it. So we have to agree on the certain amount that we set together. But in last year in Windsor, we agreed on that. That's, it's $10 for each day that they missed. I guess maybe it will be similar or a little bit higher here in the city of London. As I saw even here, they determined, Zakat al-Fitr last year $15. Is that right? Or $10. Was 15, I guess, here. Yes? So a little bit higher than what we determined that in Windsor. So for that sister, I'm not sure exactly how much, but inshallah we will announce that after we all imams in the city agreed and discussed that issue. I guess that's last question. There is one room for one more question. Okay, one more question will be the last question. Billah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Let's give the brother because he never asked. Okay.
Assalamu alaikum.
You have a question related? Okay, no problem. There's two more questions. Him and then that's it. We're done. Okay.
Yes. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Kashif. So there's one question about Jummah prayer, that there are different opinions of praying Sunnah after Jummah and before Jummah. So what is the best way to pray all those all together with Jummah prayer? Before and after Jummah.
Yes, it is very similar to Dhuhr, like pretty much in terms of the Sunnah. However, praying the Sunnah right after the Salatul Jumu'ah in the masjid, where some scholars like Imam Malik, he didn't recommend it because the ayah فَإِذَا قُلْ صَلَاتُ فَانْتَشِرُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ. And generally speaking, praying Sunnah is always preferable at home. As the Prophet ﷺ said, اجعلوا لصلاتكم لبيوتكم من صلاتكم نصيبا ولا تجعلوا بيوتكم مقابر. Do not make your house like the graveyard. Bring light to your home by praying at your home. So praying sunnah at home is always better. So when the masjid is crowded, it's better not to pray right after. Some people, they stand at the door and they start praying and they're blocking the way. SubhanAllah, we have seen that. So if the masjid empty or about, then you can offer your sunnah. So it's a 4 before, 4 after. That's the majority of scholars. If you do like different, it's acceptable because that's from the area of differences will be fine, no problem. Probably you heard that 2 before, 4 after, or you heard like 4 before, 2 after. Is that right? Yes. So there's 4 before, 4 after. That's where highly recommended. Last question.
Jazakallah khair. This is related to someone who has health issues and wants to fast. Thinking of the hadith of the Sahabi who had a head injury, his companions forced him to make ghusl. And when the news reached Prophet Muhammad sallallahu he said, "Qatuluhu," they essentially killed him. Can this also be extrapolated to someone who has health concerns that if they choose to fast?
See, fasting, تعتريه الأحكام الخمسة. Fasting could be must, it could be haram, and could be makruh, could be sunnah, and could be just permissible. So all the rules that applies in there. It's not always like must. Fasting the days of Ramadan is must. Fasting the day of Eid is haram. And fasting and that fast could really cause life-threatening for the person, which like having severe illness and he's still fasting, and that's actually harming himself. That's not right. It might be sinful in that, and it might be haram for him. So if the doctor, for example, tell you that's risky for your life, a Muslim trusted doctor and told you that's risky for your life. Even, well, let's say there's no Muslim doctor, but somebody trusted in his field, and he told you that's risky in your life, that's risky for your life. If you fast, you should not fast. Okay? If it might be like a hardship or a little bit difficulties, that's understood, because the hardship is attached with fasting. But if there's a risk for your life, then you should not fast. If fasting, then you're harming yourself, and that you might be sinful in this regard. Jazakallah khair. We ended with that. I saw your hand. Other one? No? Okay. اللهم اغفر ذنوبنا واستر عيوبنا وبلغنا في الدار مطلوبنا. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد بقدر حبك فيه وزدنا يا مولانا حبا فيه. اللهم نسألك العفو والعافية والمعافاة الدائمة في الدين والدنيا والآخرة. اللهم نسألك إيمانا يصلح للعرض عليك، وإيقانا نقف به في القيامة بين يديك، وفهما نعلم به كيف نناجيك، وعلما نفقه به أوامرك ونواهيك، وسعيا مشكورا وذنبا مغفورا، ورزقا حلالا طيبا مباركا فيه. آمين آمين آمين. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. والسلام. جزاكم الله خير.